Have you ever felt like you were an empathetic sponge, just leeching every feeling and emotion from everyone? You would meet someone, be friends with them, and realize slowly through time that everything that they were experiencing, you had experienced in your past, but you were trying to compensate in your mind for how they could fix those things, except they weren't really fixing those things in their life, and they were just a ball of negative energy. And you were leeching onto this negative energy. You were trying to help them focus or regain control of their life. But instead, what you were suffering from was this empathetic connection that you had to their emotions or their feelings. And this cycle continued until you realized that the friends and people you were attracting in your life all were focused around negativity. They didn't want to escape from this point in their life. They didn't want to move on, and they were just stuck, complacent, and alone in their own revolving door of negativity. They were lost, certainly, but what they lacked was the self-control and assertiveness to regain control of their life and step outside from that monotonous pattern of negativity. However, when you realized that you were beyond that, and these people that you kept meeting in your life, you were empathetically drawn to like a sponge, you realized over time that boundaries needed to be initiated. Boundaries were more than just the ability to set yourself apart from them, but they led the ability to give you self-control and control back in your life. And this meant that you had the freedom to feel different and free mentally, because for an empathetic person, it is so draining to regain and have these connections with people that do not want to fix themselves. And eventually you realize that it's time for you to grow out of this. It's not time for you to stay in this type of cycle. It's not time for you to make those changes for them. They have to want to make those changes. They have to want to grow. And for you to have a successful relationship or friendship with these type of people, you need to know that they're going to be on the same page. So being an empathetic, intuitive person, I've learned that sometimes it's better to have intentional and purposeful relationships with people instead of ones where you're struggling to understand why others are in the way in these situations or why they are the way that they are. And it's not easy. Sometimes you realize that you want to go hang out with somebody that you knew from your past, but you can't. You feel paralyzed because you realize the last experience that you had with them was not fun. It wasn't enjoyable. It wasn't incredible because they were stuck on negativity and you were stuck on optimism. You were stuck on believing that the future was real. The future focused on positivity. You were focused on the present moment. You were focused on being here in the now and knowing that you're content with what God has given you. But you see, those other people from your past, they're in the past for a reason. And they fail to acknowledge that they have this beautiful future in front of them. They have so much potential in front of them. But instead, the cycle will continue until they decide to take action and change something about themselves or how they do things. And this happens a lot of times for so many people in life. They get in this monotonous cycle: corporate America, relationships, friendships, or any which thing in their life that can produce negativity. And misery loves company. And what you put out into the universe will return to you tenfold. This is no lie. It's about manifestation, quantum physics, and can relate on so many levels. But when you fail to acknowledge that you have this cycle in your life because you're not cognizant of this within you, you tend to repeat it over and over again. Now, it isn't always easy to accept that you might need to find new friends, but the biggest sign of growth in your life is admitting that it's time to change. It's time to move on. It's time for something new in your life. And sometimes that means being solo and finding self-care and finding time or hobbies that you can do alone. Because when you rely on your happiness with someone else that's full of negativity, you're not going to find happiness there. You're not going to find contentment there. You're not going to find anything there. You're just going to absorb the emotion, the negativity in their life, and feel so hurt. And the vibe's going to be off. And this absorption of emotion and empathy is so crazy. I tell you, it wasn't until lately I realized that it's true. I absorb emotion like a sponge. I want everybody to be happy. And that's not true all the time. That can't happen sometimes. And sometimes I just have to be picky with who I hang out with or be cognizant of what I do with my time. And that makes such a huge difference in my life. When I realize that I don't need to spend my time with people that are so full of this negative energy that I leech from it. And it'll take me some time to decompress from this type of energy in my life. I'm a social person. I love reaching out and connecting with others, but to an extent, I realize that I have to be aware of who I spend my time with, because spending time with people that are not on the level as you are can lead to so much pessimism in your mind, and you need to clean your mental mind. And cleaning your mental mind requires meditation, time in silence and solace, and showing yourself grace, which isn't easy to do if you have other things or activities planned in your life. So don't waste your time. Don't spend your time considering how you can change others when you can really change how you manage your time. And this is essentially true for so many people in life. If they want to get over or be more present with themselves and understand how they can produce and grow in their life, they have to eliminate those that do not serve them. Those that are in their life that are hurting them or pulling them back or talking negatively about them also makes an impact. It doesn't matter if it's family or friends or random people you meet or know of. That energy can impact you in more ways than you can even imagine. And I can tell you, being a proponent or person involved in that, I know that I've had to set boundaries with my own family because I will absorb that energy and it will be painful. And I will just think of that experience over and over again in my head. And I do not want to be like that. I want to be present. I want to be here for my family. I want to be here for my kids. And to be that type of person, you have to eliminate that energy in your life. And when you eliminate that, you realize that you have time in your life for other things that are more important or valuable. And you realize that you have time to absorb things and appreciate small things in life. Appreciate and be grateful for what is amazing in life, which is the sun, the outdoors, nature, your pets, any which thing that you can imagine to bring happiness that doesn't leak negative energy. And I tell you, spending time out in the sun or with your pets or flowers or any of that will change your energy level as well. So, bottom line is, don't waste your time and don't spend time with that type of negative energy, and be intentional with yourself, with how you spend your time and your life, because it leaves a lasting impact on your future and your present.